Hello, this is Chen from Applied Cryptography course of CUHK. This presentation project is introducing the topic of publicly verifiable proofs from blockchains brought up by Alessandra Scafuro, Luisa Siniscalchi, and Ivan Visconti. To give you a basic understanding of this topic, we will mainly talk about the basic concepts used in the paper and a general conclusion of the author's work. First of all, publicly verifiability is defined as a proof system is publicly verifiable if anyone, by looking at the transcript of the proof, can be convinced that the corresponding theorem is true. Public verifiability is important in many applications since it allows to compute a proof only once while convincing an unlimited number of verifiers. Popular interactive proof systems such as Sigma protocols protect the witness through various properties such as witness indistinguishability and zero knowledge, but typically they are not publicly verifiable, since such proofs are convincing only for those verifiers who contributed to the transcripts of the proofs. The only known proof systems that are publicly verifiable rely on a non-interactive prover through trust assumptions like non-interactive zero knowledge in the CRS model or heuristic assumptions like non-interactive zero knowledge in the random oracle model. In this paper, authors aim to construct publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proof systems from any Sigma protocol based on only the existence of a very generic blockchain. The novelty of their approach is in enforcing a non-interactive verification, thus guaranteeing public verifiability while allowing the prover to be interactive and talk to the blockchain. This allows them to circumvent the need of strong assumptions and setups. This opens interesting directions for the design of cryptographic protocols leveraging on blockchain technology. Moving to blockchain protocol, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano, etc., are all examples of permissionless blockchains used to implement a cryptocurrency. From a technical point of view, Bitcoin especially has achieved robustness and have motivated the cryptographic community to study the underlying consensus protocol in order to rigorously define what security properties it actually achieves and under which assumptions on the adversary. Specifically, the previous works by other scholars have identified three properties achieved by the Bitcoin backbone protocol: consistency, chain growth, and chain quality. Consistency here means that any two honest parties should share the same view of the blockchain. Chain growth means that the blockchain, as seen by the honest parties, will grow with a steady rate. Chain quality means that for any sequence of consecutive blocks, at least a fraction of them are contributed by honest parties. Such security properties have been adopted in all subsequent blockchain designs. Inspired by this, the paper investigates how to leverage the sole assumption that a blockchain exists to achieve cryptographic tasks that do not seem possible without trust assumption, heuristic security, strong computational assumptions, or specific number theoretic assumptions. In other words, the question here is whether we can build a public verifiable zero-knowledge protocol based on the fact of existence of a blockchain like Bitcoin instead of using any setup assumptions. Publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proofs. The paper looked at the problem of achieving privacy-preserving but still publicly verifiable proof systems. In a proof system, a prover P wishes to convince a verifier V that a statement X belongs to L is true, where L is an NP language. A proof system is privacy preserving if the transcript of the proof somehow protects the privacy of the witness used in the proof, meaning it satisfies the witness indistinguishable property or zero knowledge property. As mentioned before, a proof system is publicly verifiable if anyone, by looking at the transcript of the proof, can be convinced that the theorem is true. The verification procedure is therefore non-interactive. Public verifiability and witness indistinguishability are two important properties that are easy to achieve separately. To achieve public verifiability, ignoring any protection for the witness, one can simply publish the witness. If instead, to achieve only witness indistinguishability, ignoring public verifiability, one example is that witness indistinguishable proof systems for OMP are known from minimal assumptions according to previous studies. However, achieving public verifiability and witness indistinguishability at the same time is not an easy task. In particular, any interactive witness indistinguishable proof is intrinsically not publicly verifiable, since no one besides the verifier who chooses the messages in the protocol can be guaranteed that the prover did not know the messages in advance and thus believe in the validity of the proof. If the witness indistinguishable proof system is public coin, it's possible to replace the messages of the verifier with the output of the random oracle. However, it's still an heuristic assumption that we wish to avoid towards providing public verifiable witness indistinguishable proof systems. This suggests that for a witness indistinguishable proof to be publicly verifiable, it must be non-interactive. The goal is to end up with publicly verifiable proofs that can be run exploiting a generic blockchain as setup. The two only known interactive witness indistinguishable proof systems without trusted setups and heuristic assumptions are one based on specific number theoretic hardness assumptions in bilinear groups. Such a scheme is not a proof of knowledge. For some languages, membership of an instance is trivially checkable by inspection, as for the case of knowledge of 1 out of 2 discrete logarithms. And what really matters is to make sure that a succeeding prover always knows a witness proving the truthfulness of the theorem. The other one is based on indistinguishable obfuscation and one-way permutations. In particular, their construction leverages the existence of witness encryption schemes and the existence of zero-knowledge arguments of proofs. Such proposed approach does not provide the proof of knowledge properties as well. This is unsatisfactory given that we have a rich portfolio of interactive witness indistinguishable proof systems, and a large part of these consists of Sigma protocols. Under various weaker complexity assumptions and optimized for different languages, we would like to use these systems also when publicly verifiability is required. And the key question is brought out. Can we construct a publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proof system giving any Sigma protocol by leveraging only the existence of a blockchain and without any additional assumption? This key question was actually investigated in 2017 by Goyal and Goyal. They show how to build a non-interactive zero-knowledge protocol from proof of stake. The idea is that this proof of stake blockchain exists with the assumption that at any point in time, if you look at the total current stake, the majority belongs to honest parties, which means at any point in time, an adversary is not able to create forks. How do we leverage this assumption? We can assume that now the simulator controls the honest parties, and this means that the non-interactive zero knowledge is a non-interactive witness indistinguishability protocol where you need to prove either X is in L or I computed a fork. Because in the assumption, any adversary cannot create forks, therefore this non-interactive zero knowledge is sound. And if the simulator controls the majority, it can know the witness. The authors of these publicly verifiable proofs from blockchain's paper further contributed to this topic as they show how to construct a publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proof system from any Sigma protocol, essentially assuming only the chain quality property of any blockchain. They relax the connection between non-interactiveness and public verifiability by proposing a novel approach which consists in having an execution of a Sigma protocol where the prover is interactive, but the verifier's message is somehow played by the blockchain, making the verification process completely non-interactive for anyone who has access to the blockchain. If the underlying Sigma protocol additionally satisfies the delayed input property, where a prover can compute the first round without knowing the theorem that will be proven, then the proof system allows preprocessing of the first message and the actual proof can be computed in one shot. Therefore, it's completely non-interactive. They also discussed the case of on-chain and off-chain verifiability depending on the blockchain supported by the blockchain and the communication efficiency of the underlying Sigma protocol. Additionally, it is observed that their publicly verifiable witness indistinguishability could be used in the construction of Goyal and Goyal's work in 2017 to obtain a publicly verifiable zero-knowledge proof of knowledge with improved complexity assumptions relying on proof-of-stake blockchains. Yet there are some issues in the approach of Goyal and Goyal's work that can simply be addressed only by relying on additional assumptions. In order to construct publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proofs, the authors start with any Sigma protocol. A Sigma protocol is a three-round public coin proof system that satisfies special soundness and special honest verifier zero-knowledge properties, where the first and the third round are computed by the prover, and the second round is a random string sent by the verifier. A transcript ACZ of a Sigma protocol is not publicly verifiable indeed due to the special honest verifier zero-knowledge property. Anyone could come up with an accepting transcript by choosing C on its own. The goal is to compute C in a verifiable manner without relying on the random oracle, but simply leveraging the properties of any blockchain. Two main challenges are pointed out in the paper. The first one is extracting random bits from any blockchain. Several works have investigated the possibility of implementing a publicly verifiable beacon from the Bitcoin blockchain. In particular, it is shown that under strong assumptions on the adversary, like assuming that the adversary would not too often discard blocks that he or she computed. It is possible to extract unbiased and publicly verifiable bits from the Bitcoin blockchain and thus realize a publicly verifiable beacon. The result is unsatisfactory for the goals, since one, it is tailored to the Bitcoin, and two, it makes additional assumptions on the behavior of the adversary besides the one typically used to prove a blockchain security. The observation by authors is that for our purposes, we do not need the strong guarantees required by a publicly verifiable beacon. In particular, we don't need to precisely identify which string is random. We only need to ensure that with a long string of bits, there exists a subsequence of lambda bits that is sufficiently unpredictable to the adversary. This relaxation allows us to extract enough random bits by essentially only assuming that the blockchain satisfies a property that is very similar to the eta chain quality property. This property states that for any k consecutive blocks in any chain held by some honest party, the fraction of blocks that were contributed by honest parties is at least eta, with overwhelming probability in k. In addition to assuming that rewards for having generated new blocks are sometimes assigned to new wallets generated by honest players. In other words, they assume that a constant number of blocks in a long enough sequence of blocks are computed by distinct honest parties, or even the same party, as long as the special string is computed with independent randomness. And the multiple executions of the procedure that generates these chunks of blocks can be considered as independent high mean entropy sources. Putting the above things together, we can think of the generation of k consecutive blocks as k sources, out of which a constant eta are guaranteed to be independent and have high mean entropy. This approach idea is therefore to leverage above observation along with a multiple source randomness extractor. The three source randomness extractor giving in input three high mean entropy independent sources outputs a lambda bit truly random string. By using the eta chain quality property and the observation about honest blocks, the goal is to retrieve three honest blocks on which to apply the extractor. Since we don't know which blocks are honest, we will consider all possible triples of distinct blocks over last k blocks of the blockchain. The eta chain quality guarantees that at least three of them are honest. We are guaranteed that there exists a triple of honest block chunks that are independent high mean entropy sources. By running the three source extractor on input such a triple, we will obtain a random string. Since the approach consists in extracting random bits from the blockchain, one potential shortcut to obtain a publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proof could consist of using the extracted bits as the first round of a zero-knowledge arguments of proofs. Therefore, requiring that the prover just computes the second round. This solution, however, comes with several shortcomings. First of all, the second round of the ZAP requires computational assumptions that are not necessarily used by the blockchain. For instance, the ZAP requires doubly enhanced trapdoor permutations, In this case, the goal is to rely on collision-resistant hash functions only. Second, a ZAP, zero-knowledge arguments of proofs, is not a proof of knowledge and therefore is not useful when knowledge of the witness is what really matters. Indeed, the authors will construct a proof of knowledge. Third, the guarantee is only that random retrieved strings exist, but we don't know which one. The zero-knowledge arguments of proofs relies on an extremely long random string sent by the verifier. Obtaining such a huge random string through extraction of random bits from the blocks of current blockchains is not realistic. Therefore, the authors devised a more elaborated construction that is in spirit much close to available blockchains, avoiding strong additional assumptions. Challenge 2 is the size of the transcript and off-chain public verifiability. Given that they are able to extract random bits from the blockchain, their proof system starting from a Sigma protocol and ending with a publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proof follows naturally the Fiat-Shamir transform. The prover computes tau first rounds of A1 to A tau of the Sigma protocol and publishes them on the blockchain B. Then P waits for K new blocks, where K depends on the chain consistency and the chain quality properties added to the blockchain after the first message was posted. And then let us denote such blocks as B1 to BK. The prover obtains challenges C1 to C tau by evaluating the randomness extractor on tau triples of distinct blocks in the set B1 to BK. Finally, P publishes the third rounds of Z1 to Z tau. This approach works only when each message A fits in the space allowed for a transaction in a block of the blockchain. This might not be necessarily true for some Sigma protocol. Some Sigma protocols might require a first round that is cubic or more in the security parameter and in the length of the statement. And once concretely instantiated, it might easily lead to a first round of few megabytes, which can be obviously be beyond what is allowed by a blockchain. To overcome this problem, the authors propose to upload the hash of the first message for an arbitrarily specified handle seed on the blockchain. Then each C is computed as above, and then the third round would consist in revealing the A's and the answer Z's to the verifier only. This is called the extended transcript. This approach allows public verifiability off-chain. The entire proof cannot be downloaded from the blockchain, but must be obtained from another source, either the prover itself or another repository. And this is the standard way non-interactive proofs have always been propagated to be verified. It is addressed that the verifier here will not contribute in the computation of the transcript, but only needs to see the extended version of the transcript. So the proof is still reusable many times and is verifiable non-interactively, meaning publicly verifiable. To choose a collision-resistant hash function, the approach leverages the blockchain again. In all existing blockchains, the blocks are chained using a public collision-resistant hash function that can be used in the proof systems. If instead a transaction of the blockchain can accommodate an A and a Z of the underlying Sigma protocol, then an even better property like on-chain public verifiability can be achieved, since the witness indistinguishable proof will appear completely in the blockchain, and therefore there is no need to think about propagating a proof to reach several verifiers. Conclusion: the author's publicly verifiable witness indistinguishable proof system also achieves additional properties. Preprocessing. If the underlying Sigma protocol is delayed input, which means it allows the prover to compute the first round without knowing the theorem to be proven, then a prover can be preprocess the first round and then simply compute Z when necessary. And proof of knowledge. If the underlying witness indistinguishable proof system is special sound, then it's shown that the construction is also a proof of knowledge. The idea is that in the reduction, our knowledge extraction can simulate the blockchain to the malicious prover and change the relevant subsequent of the honest blocks in order to change the output of the randomness extractor and obtain a new challenge. Statistical witness indistinguishable proof of knowledge. When instantiating the compiler with the LS Sigma protocol and its underlying commitments with statistically hiding commitment scheme from collision-resistant hash functions, we obtain a statistically witness indistinguishable proof of knowledge system. Statistical witness indistinguishability allows to protect the privacy of the secret. The collision-resistant hash functions used is again the one inferred by the blockchain. Is again the one inferred by the blockchain. A natural open question consists of constructing a publicly verifiable zero-knowledge argument from blockchains. At first, one might think that obtaining zero knowledge from witness indistinguishability should be easy, like plugging this construction in the protocol of Goyal and Goyal's work in 2017. This would simply produce a publicly verifiable zero-knowledge argument without the strong hardness assumptions. However, this approach taken in the Goyal and Goyal's work to achieve the zero-knowledge property is affected by some issues that can be apparently tackled only by making additional assumptions on the blockchain protocol that do not seem to be applicable to real-world scenarios. Moreover, the construction of Goyal and Goyal's work is restricted to the blockchains relying on proof of stake. In conclusion, achieving publicly verifiable zero knowledge with mild assumptions with respect to the most currently used real-world blockchains is an interesting open question to be explored. And this is all of my presentations. Thank you.